The emergency light cast a sickly green pallor across Jack Thompson's face, etching deep lines of exhaustion into skin weathered by years of survival. Around him, the command center of Sanctuary Station hummed with a desperate energy, the last heartbeat of human civilization. Outside the reinforced viewports, the void of space stretched infinitely, punctuated by the skeletal remains of destroyed space stations and fragmented colony ships. Each piece of cosmic debris told a story of loss, of the ruthless efficiency with which the Krelzar Collective had dismantled human presence in the Orion Arm. Jack's fingers danced across the holographic interface, pulling up the latest population count. 2,847,332 humans remained, a number that seemed to shrink with each passing hour. The station's population management system continually updated, tracking every birth, every death, every microscopic shift in humanity's desperate struggle to survive. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Sarah Martinez, the station's chief communications officer, approached with a datapad clutched tightly in her hand. Her eyes, normally sharp and calculating, now held a mixture of exhaustion and something else, a spark of something Jack hadn't seen in years. "We've got an anomaly," she said, her voice low and controlled. Jack raised an eyebrow. Anomalies were rare these days. Most of human communication had been reduced to encrypted burst transmissions, carefully masked to avoid detection by Krelzar scanning networks. Sarah projected her findings onto the main holographic display. A series of quantum-encrypted signals danced across the screen, patterns that shouldn't exist, communication channels that defied the current understanding of quantum mechanics. These signals, she explained, they're not just random noise. They're synchronized, deliberate. The command center fell silent. In the weeks following the total destruction of Earth, silence had become their constant companion. Silence meant survival. Silence meant avoiding detection. Jack studied the signal patterns. They were intricate, almost beautiful in their complexity. Unlike traditional communication methods, these signals seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, a quantum dance that would be invisible to conventional scanning technologies. "How long have these been running?" Jack asked, his fingers already moving to isolate and analyze the transmission. Sarah's response was measured. "We believe they've been active since the final bombardment, possibly even before." The implication hung in the air. If these signals had been running during the war, during humanity's darkest moment, then someone had planned for this. Someone had prepared a contingency beyond anything they had previously imagined. The station's environmental systems hummed softly, recycling air that had been filtered and refiltered countless times. Each breath was a testament to human engineering, to the ability to survive in the most hostile environments imaginable. Jack pulled up additional layers of data. The quantum signals seemed to be interconnected, forming a mesh of communication that spread across multiple star systems. It was a network, hidden, resilient, waiting. "These aren't just communications," he muttered, more to himself than to Sarah. "This is a lifeline." A warning klaxon interrupted his thoughts. Proximity alerts flashed across secondary screens. Standard Krelzar patrol patterns were moving closer to their location. The station's stealth systems engaged automatically, reducing their electromagnetic and thermal signatures to near zero. Sarah's hand instinctively moved to the emergency evacuation controls. They had practiced this drill hundreds of times. Survival was a science they had perfected through brutal necessity. But Jack's attention remained fixed on the quantum signal patterns. Something about their structure was familiar, yet completely alien. They reminded him of the complex neural networks found in advanced artificial intelligence systems, but with an organic complexity that defied traditional computational models. "We need to dig deeper," he said, his voice cutting through the tension in the command center. "Whatever these signals are, they're more than just a communication network. They're a message." Outside, the patrol ships of the Krelzar Collective passed silently, their massive hulls casting brief shadows across the station's reinforced hull. They saw nothing, heard nothing, But beneath the silence, something was stirring. A network of hope. A promise of resistance. Humanity was not finished. Not by a long shot. Rebecca Miller's fingers hovered over the quantum decryption matrix, her breath catching as another layer of the mysterious signal unfolded. The research complex on New Hope Colony was unlike any scientific facility humanity had ever constructed. A labyrinth of bio-reinforced chambers carved deep into the heart of a frozen exoplanet. Outside the reinforced windows, a perpetual storm of crystalline ice particles whipped across a landscape of deep blue and stark white. The planet's extreme conditions were both a shield and a challenge, perfect for hiding the most critical remnants of human technological innovation. The signal they had been tracking for weeks was unlike anything in human or known alien communication archives. Each decryption attempt revealed new layers of complexity, like peeling back the intricate skin of an impossible mathematical construct. Dr. Miller called Michael Rodriguez, the colony's chief systems analyst. "You're going to want to see this." He approached with a holographic display projecting a three-dimensional representation of the quantum signal. What had initially appeared as random noise now looked like an elaborate neural network, living, breathing, adaptive. Rebecca leaned closer. The signal's structure defied conventional understanding of communication. It wasn't just a method of transmitting information. It was alive. "These aren't just encrypted messages," she murmured, tracing the intricate pathways with her finger. "This is a living system." The research complex hummed with carefully controlled energy. Every system was designed for maximum efficiency and minimal detection. Survival had become an art form, with human ingenuity pushing the boundaries of what was scientifically possible. Michael pulled up additional data streams. The network appears to be connecting multiple hidden human settlements. But it's not just a communication method. Look at the computational complexity. Each node in the network seemed to process information in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Traditional binary systems looked primitively simple by comparison. This was quantum communication evolved into something far beyond a mere transmission method. A soft chime indicated an incoming encrypted transmission. Rebecca's authentication protocols engaged automatically, layers of quantum-entangled security unfolding like digital origami. The message was fragmented, deliberately obscured. But its origin was clear: another hidden human settlement, located in a region of space so remote that even the most advanced Krellzar scanning technologies would struggle to detect it. "They'd been preparing," Michael said, his voice a mixture of awe and controlled excitement. "While we thought humanity was on the brink of extinction, these colonies were developing technologies beyond our wildest imagination." Rebecca understood the implications immediately. The Krellzar had believed their total war strategy had eliminated human resistance. They had systematically destroyed Earth, dismantled major colonies, and scattered the remaining human population. But they had fundamentally misunderstood human nature. The quantum network revealed experimental technologies that defied current scientific understanding. Adaptive nano-manufacturing systems capable of reconstructing entire infrastructures from basic molecular components. Quantum state warfare algorithms that could predict and counter strategic movements centuries in advance. "It's a distributed survival strategy," Rebecca explained, more to herself than to Michael. Each colony developed a piece of the puzzle. A technological Noah's Ark. The research complex's environmental systems maintained a constant temperature, but Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. This was more than a communication network. This was humanity's insurance policy. Michael began cross-referencing the signal data with their own research archives. "Look at the computational models. These aren't just communication pathways. They're evolving, learning." The network seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Each transmission carried not just information, but adaptive algorithms that could modify themselves based on incoming data. It was a living, breathing technological ecosystem. Outside, the ice storm intensified. New Hope Colony remained hidden, a fortress of human potential buried beneath layers of rock and perpetual winter. Rebecca's hand moved across the holographic interface, her fingers dancing with the precision of a concert pianist. Another layer of encryption fell away, revealing glimpses of technologies so advanced they bordered on the miraculous. "We're not just surviving," she whispered. "We're preparing." The quantum network continued its silent communication, a heartbeat of human resistance pulsing across the vast, cold darkness of space. Humanity was far from defeated. In fact, they were just getting started. The genetic laboratory stretched through multiple levels of the Horizon Research Station, a complex so deeply buried within a methane-rich moon that no external scanning technology could penetrate its existence. Dr. Emily Nakamura stood before a series of containment chambers, each housing a different stage of humanity's most radical experiment in survival. Her hands, steady from decades of genetic research, adjusted the quantum-linked microscope. The cellular structures she observed defied every known principle of biological adaptation. These were not just human variants. They were the next stage of human evolution, engineered to survive where no biological organism had survived before. In the first chamber, a subject named David Chen demonstrated photosynthetic capabilities that would make terrestrial plants seem primitive. Genetic modifications allowed him to absorb energy directly from electromagnetic radiation, converting starlight into cellular nutrition with unprecedented efficiency. His skin carried a slight green-blue iridescence, mapped with intricate networks of bioengineered chlorophyll-like structures. "Metabolic efficiency at 412%, Emily murmured, reviewing the holographic data streams. Traditional human metabolism converted only a fraction of consumed energy. David could survive for months with minimal nutritional intake, his body a living solar panel. The second chamber held Elizabeth Rodriguez, whose genetic structure allowed for extreme metabolic regulation. She could enter a state of near-complete hibernation, her cellular processes slowing to such a degree that she could theoretically survive decades of space travel with minimal life support. Emily remembered the initial trials, the failures that preceded these successes. Hundreds of genetic sequences had been tested, discarded, refined. Each failure was a lesson, each successful adaptation, a triumph of human ingenuity. "Communication network is stable," called out Michael Wang, the station's chief systems analyst. The quantum communication mesh integrated directly with the enhanced subject's neural networks, creating a biological-technological hybrid unlike anything in known scientific literature. In the third chamber, a subject known only as Project Horizon demonstrated the most radical adaptation. Neural pathways had been enhanced to perceive quantum states invisible to typical biological systems. Where normal human perception operated on classical physics, this subject could directly observe quantum entanglement, wave-particle duality, and probability states. The implications were staggering. These were not just survivors. They were living sensors, biological computers that could process information in ways no traditional machine could achieve. Emily reviewed the genetic modification logs. Each enhancement carried risks, potential genetic instabilities, unknown long-term effects. But the alternative was extinction. The Krell Tsar had made that abundantly clear. A soft alarm indicated a scheduled genetic stability test. Emily moved between the chambers, collecting cellular samples, monitoring quantum entanglement markers that tracked the subject's genetic integrity. Subject David Chen shows complete chromosomal stability, Michael reported. Photosynthetic capabilities remain at optimal levels. No degradation detected. Elizabeth Rodriguez's hibernation capabilities had been tested through simulated deep space conditions. She could reduce her metabolic rate to less than 0.03% of normal human functioning, her body entering a state so close to suspended animation that traditional medical definitions failed to describe it. The quantum perception subject, whose name had been deliberately kept classified, represented the most experimental adaptation. Initial tests suggested the ability to observe quantum states directly might provide unprecedented strategic advantages. Imagine a human who could predict probabilistic outcomes, who could see potential futures as tangibly as most people saw the present. "We're not just creating survivors," Emily said to Michael, her voice carrying a mix of scientific detachment and profound hope. "We're creating the next stage of human evolution." The laboratory's environmental systems maintained perfect conditions, controlled temperature, precise radiation levels, quantum-dampened external interference. Each chamber was a crucible of potential, a testament to human determination. Outside the station, the methane moon's perpetual storms rage. No external observer could detect the miracles of biological engineering happening within its rocky core. Michael pulled up a final diagnostic report. All subjects show complete genetic stability. Adaptation protocols functioning at maximum efficiency. Emily studied the subjects through the reinforced glass. They looked almost peaceful. David with his slightly iridescent skin, Elizabeth in her carefully controlled hibernation state, the quantum perception subject with eyes that seemed to look both everywhere and nowhere at once. Humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction, and in response, they had begun to redefine what it meant to be human. The next stage of evolution was not a prediction. It was happening right now. Commander Lisa Rodriguez stood motionless, her augmented eyes tracking the holographic display of the Europa Research Colony's strategic deployment. The quantum-entangled swarm drones hung suspended in the tactical projection, each a marvel of human engineering that would redefine the concept of warfare. The Krelzar fleet staging areas appeared invulnerable. Massive battleships stretched across multiple star systems, their shield technologies considered impenetrable by every known galactic standard. Generations of alien military strategists had perfected these defensive networks, believing them to be the ultimate expression of technological superiority. They had never encountered human desperation. Quantum synchronization at 99.8%, reported Samuel Kim, the colony's chief quantum systems engineer. His fingers danced across multiple holographic interfaces, each movement precise and calculated. The swarm drones were unlike any weapon in galactic history. Each drone was more than a machine. It was a self-contained quantum computing system capable of making millions of strategic calculations per nanosecond. They existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, rendering traditional detection methods completely useless. Lisa watched as the first wave of drones began their infiltration. They moved like liquid mercury, sliding through shield harmonics that should have vaporized any conventional spacecraft. Where traditional missiles would be detected and destroyed, these drones adapted, shifted, became momentarily unreal. "Target acquisition confirmed," Samuel announced. His voice carried a clinical detachment that barely masked an underlying current of excitement. The first Krelzar staging area began to disintegrate from within. Not through explosion, not through conventional weapon systems, but through a systematic deconstruction of its internal systems. The drones didn't just attack, they understood. Each drone carried a sophisticated quantum algorithm that could predict and manipulate the alien ship's internal systems. They found weaknesses in computational matrices, introduced quantum uncertainties that cascaded through critical infrastructure, and essentially caused the ships to destroy themselves from the inside. Multiple vector points compromised, Lisa observed. The holographic display showed 3 major Krelzar fleet staging areas, transforming into expanding clouds of rapidly disintegrating matter. Samuel pulled up additional data streams. Quantum interference patterns suggest 0 external energy signatures. To any external observer, these look like spontaneous system failures. The brilliance of the attack lay in its invisibility. The Krelzar would not even understand they had been attacked. They would simply see critical fleet infrastructure collapsing without apparent cause. Lisa's augmented vision tracked microscopic details invisible to standard biological perception. The swarm drones communicated through quantum entanglement, a network of information exchange that moved faster than light, more complex than any known communication system. First wave completion in 3 minutes, Samuel reported. Outside the observation deck, the Europa Research Colony maintained perfect camouflage. Buried beneath miles of ice, surrounded by quantum dampening fields, the facility remained undetectable. Generations of human survivors had perfected the art of invisible resistance. The drone swarms continued their systematic deconstruction. They were not just weapons, they were a distributed intelligence, each unit capable of independent decision-making, while simultaneously contributing to a collective strategy. Lisa thought about the generations of human scientists and engineers who had developed these technologies. While the Krelzar believed they had crushed humanity, these hidden colonies had been preparing, innovating, waiting. Second wave initiating, Samuel called out. More staging areas began to collapse. The quantum drones moved like ghosts, introducing microscopic uncertainties that grew exponentially. A computational matrix here, a shield harmonics frequency there, each tiny intervention creating cascading system failures. The holographic display showed the Krelzar fleet areas transforming into expanding clouds of disintegrating matter. No weapons fire, no external energy signatures, just systematic, algorithmic destruction. Total fleet infrastructure compromise at 67%, Lisa observed. Her augmented eyes tracked computational probabilities that shifted in millisecond increments. This was more than an attack. It was a statement. Humanity was not just surviving. They were fighting back with a level of technological sophistication that would redefine galactic warfare. The first counterstrike was complete, and the Krelzar didn't even know they had been attacked. Humanity's true war was just beginning. Dr. Anna Martinez stood before the quantum communication matrix, her fingers hovering above interfaces that looked more like living organisms than technological devices. The psychological warfare division of the human resistance was unlike any military strategy in galactic history. The Krelzar communication network sprawled across multiple star systems, a seemingly impenetrable web of collective consciousness. Most species would approach such a network with traditional weapons or computational attacks. Humanity had something far more potent. Initiating cultural transmission sequence, called out Dr. Michael Chen, the lead quantum communication specialist. The first wave of transmissions was deceptively simple. Fragments of human artistic expression, a brushstroke from a Van Gogh painting, the opening notes of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, a snippet of poetry by Maya Angelou. These were not just data. They were quantum-encoded experiences designed to penetrate the Krelzar's collective consciousness. The Krelzar understood war as a mathematical equation. Probability, resource allocation, strategic optimization. They had systematically destroyed human settlements with the same emotional detachment a computer might use to solve a complex algorithm. They did not understand emotion. Anna watched as the first quantum signals penetrated the alien communication networks. Each transmission was a carefully crafted piece of human experience, designed to introduce quantum uncertainty into their rigid computational frameworks. A musical composition from Earth's jazz era began to weave through their communication matrices. The complex improvisational nature of the music, its ability to find beauty in spontaneity, was fundamentally incompatible with the Krelzar's structured thought processes. Quantum penetration at 43%, Michael reported. His voice carried a mixture of scientific precision and something else. Hope. The next transmission was more complex. Memories. Not just data, but lived experiences. A child's first steps, an elderly couple's final moments together. The complex emotional landscape of human existence translated into quantum information packets. The Krelzar collective began to experience something they had never encountered. Uncertainty, emotional complexity, the messy, beautiful irrationality of human experience. Their communication networks are showing strange algorithmic disruptions, Samuel Kim observed from a secondary monitoring station. It's like introducing chaos into a perfectly ordered system. Anna understood the true nature of their psychological warfare. They weren't just attacking the Krelzar's technological infrastructure. They were challenging their entire conceptual understanding of existence. Fragments of human art, music, scientific discovery, and emotional experience continued to stream through the quantum communication channels. Each transmission was a weapon more potent than any physical weapon could be. The Krell had believed human settlements could be reduced to mathematical probabilities, eliminate resource centers, destroy communication networks, calculate the precise energy expenditure required for total extinction. They had never anticipated the human capacity for unexpected beauty. A transmission of a child's laugh entered their communication networks. Mathematical models began to fracture. A piece of abstract art introduced computational uncertainties that spread like viral infections through their collective consciousness. Psychological disruption at 67%, Michael reported. The human resistance had discovered something profound. The Krell's greatest strength, their collective, computational approach to existence, was also their most significant weakness. Emotion was a quantum state they could not comprehend. Anna watched the transmission matrices, seeing something beyond the raw data. Each quantum packet was a piece of human soul, complex, unpredictable, beautifully irrational. Continue full spectrum transmission, she instructed. The quantum communication network pulsed with human experience. Memories, art, music, scientific discovery, each transmission a subtle invasion, introducing something the Krell collective could not process. Uncertainty, emotion, humanity. Psychological warfare protocols functioning at maximum efficiency, Samuel announced. The Krell would never understand what was happening. They would only feel the gradual dissolution of their rigid computational existence, torn apart by the most powerful weapon humanity had ever created, the ability to feel. The research complex stretched across 3 interconnected planetoids, a hidden network of laboratories that represented humanity's most radical experiment in self-evolution. Dr. Rebecca Rodriguez moved between containment chambers, her augmented eyes tracking the biological transformations that defied every known principle of genetic engineering. Each enhanced human variant was more than a subject. They were living weapons, living technologies. The next stage of human potential. In the central chamber, David Chen demonstrated capabilities that would have seemed like science fiction mere decades ago. His body had become a living interface between biological and technological systems. Nano-augmentations woven through his cellular structure allowed him to interface directly with complex technological networks. Technological integration at 97%, called out Michael Zhang, the lead biomechanical engineer. Subject can now process computational information at rates 3,000% beyond standard human neural capacities. David's skin carried a subtle iridescence, a map of quantum-linked neural networks that extended beyond traditional biological limitations. Where human nervous systems once operated on electrochemical signals, his functioned as a living quantum computer. The adjacent chamber held Elizabeth Rodriguez, whose metabolic capabilities had redefined human survival potential. Her body could adapt to extreme environments with impossible efficiency. Radiation levels that would destroy traditional biological systems became mere background noise to her enhanced physiology. Environmental adaptation protocols functioning at maximum efficiency, reported Dr. Sarah Kim. Subject can survive in vacuum, extreme radiation, and temperature variations that would instantly kill standard human organisms. But the most extraordinary subject remained in the most secure chamber, the quantum perception specialist whose name had been deliberately classified. This human variant could perceive quantum states directly, seeing probability waves and quantum entanglement as tangibly as most people observe physical objects. Rebecca understood the profound implications. These were not just survivors. They were a new stage of human evolution, engineered to survive and thrive where traditional biological systems would fail. Quantum perception subject shows unprecedented neural plasticity, Michael reported. Ability to predict probabilistic outcomes with 99.7% accuracy. It's like watching someone read the universe's source code. The metamorphosis went beyond physical adaptation. These enhanced humans represented a distributed intelligence network more complex than any technological system ever conceived. Each variant could process information, adapt, and communicate in ways that transcended traditional biological limitations. Outside the research complex, Perpetual storms raged across the planetoid's surface. No external scanning technology could penetrate the quantum-dampened shields that protected humanity's most critical research facility. Full genetic stability confirmed, Sarah announced. The years of careful genetic engineering had produced something beyond a weapon or a survival strategy. This was a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Rebecca reviewed the latest diagnostic reports. Each enhanced variant carried unique capabilities that, when combined, created a living, adaptive network of human potential. David's technological interface, Elizabeth's environmental adaptation, the quantum perception specialist's ability to see beyond traditional physical limitations. "We're not just creating survivors," Rebecca murmured. "We're creating a new form of intelligence." The complex's quantum communication networks pulse with information exchange. These enhanced humans could communicate through quantum entanglement, sharing information and experiences at speeds that made traditional communication look primitive. Michael pulled up a comprehensive genetic stability chart. Zero degradation detected. These are not experimental subjects. They are the future of our species. Each chamber represented a different approach to human enhancement. Some variants could photosynthesize, converting electromagnetic radiation directly into cellular energy. Others could enter deep hibernation states, surviving decades of space travel with minimal life support. The Krelzar had believed they could eliminate humanity through total war. Instead, they had forced the species into its most radical evolutionary leap. "Metamorphosis protocol complete," Sarah reported. Rebecca studied the enhanced subjects. They looked almost peaceful, their bodies living maps of human potential, their very existence a testament to the species' capacity for adaptation and survival. Humanity was no longer defined by its past. It was being rewritten, right here, right now. The universe would never be the same. Commander Jack Thompson stood within the central command hub of the Horizon Strategic Operations Center, his augmented eyes tracking the complex holographic displays that mapped the ongoing conflict. The battles were no longer massive confrontations. They were precision interventions that would redefine the nature of galactic warfare. The Krelzar had built their civilization on the assumption of predictability. Computational models, strategic algorithms, a collective consciousness that believed it could calculate every possible outcome with mathematical precision. They had never encountered human unpredictability. "Quantum network infiltration at 82%, reported Samuel Kim, the lead strategic analyst. His fingers moved across interfaces that seemed to breathe with living intelligence. The human counter-strategy was nothing short of revolutionary. Instead of direct confrontation, they were systematically deconstructing the Krelzar's entire infrastructural framework. Communication networks were being subtly manipulated. Resource allocation systems were introduced to microscopic uncertainties that would cascade into massive systemic failures. Dr. Rebecca Rodriguez approached the main tactical display, her augmented vision processing information at speeds that would overwhelm traditional biological systems. "Watch the logistics networks," she instructed. The holographic display showed Krelzar fleet deployments beginning to fracture. Not through direct weapon systems, but through a series of precisely introduced computational irregularities. Supply lines redirected, communication channels subtly corrupted, strategic decision-making nodes systematically compromised. "Each intervention is a quantum-level surgical strike," Samuel explained. "We're not destroying their infrastructure. We're fundamentally altering its underlying computational logic." The enhanced human variants played a critical role. David Chen's ability to interface directly with technological systems allowed for unprecedented levels of network manipulation. The quantum perception specialist could predict potential system failures with near-perfect accuracy. Krelzar fleet reorganization algorithms showing first-stage breakdown, reported Michael Jong from a secondary monitoring station. They're attempting to compensate, but each correction introduces more systemic uncertainty. Jack understood the true brilliance of their strategy. The Krelzar's greatest strength, their collective computational approach, was becoming their most significant weakness. Each attempt to correct their systems only introduced more chaos. Elizabeth Rodriguez's environmental adaptation capabilities allowed human strike teams to operate in conditions that would instantly destroy traditional biological organisms: radiation levels, extreme temperatures, vacuum of space. These became mere background conditions for their enhanced operatives. Psychological disruption protocols continuing, Samuel announced. The quantum communication networks continue to stream fragments of human experience, art, music, emotional complexity, directly into the Krellzar's collective consciousness. The holographic displays showed entire fleet deployments being systematically redirected. Critical resource channels were being corrupted with microscopic precision. Strategic decision-making nodes were experiencing computational cascades that defied traditional understanding of system failure. "We're not just fighting," Rebecca observed. "We're fundamentally rewriting the rules of conflict." Each human intervention was a complex dance of technological and biological innovation. The enhanced variants moved like living weapons, each a distributed intelligence capable of making millions of strategic calculations per nanosecond. Total systemic compromise approaching 74%, Michael reported. The Krellzar collective began to fragment. Their once unbreakable unity was being torn apart by the most unexpected weapon: human complexity, emotional uncertainty, the ability to exist beyond pure computational logic. Jack watched the tactical displays, seeing something beyond the raw data. This was more than a war. This was an evolutionary conflict that would redefine galactic civilization. "Continue full-spectrum intervention," he instructed. The quantum communication networks pulsed with carefully crafted disruptions, each transmission a subtle invasion, introducing computational uncertainties that spread like a living algorithm. "Systemic failure protocols engaging," Samuel announced. The Krellzar would never fully understand what was happening. They would only experience the gradual dissolution of their rigid computational existence, torn apart by a species they had believed they had already destroyed. Humanity was writing a new chapter of galactic history, and no one had seen it coming. The quantum integration chamber hummed with an energy that defied traditional understanding of physical matter. Dr. Rebecca Rodriguez watched as the final stages of humanity's most audacious plan unfolded, not just the defeat of the Krellzar, but their fundamental transformation. Commander Jack Thompson stood beside her, his augmented eyes tracking the complex quantum matrices that surrounded the chamber. What had begun as a war of extinction was becoming something entirely unexpected. "Quantum synchronization at 94%, reported Samuel Kim, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living intelligence. The Krellzar had believed total war would eliminate humanity. Instead, they had triggered an evolutionary response beyond their comprehension. The quantum communication networks that had sustained humanity's hidden colonies now became a method of collective consciousness integration. Those Krellzar units capable of adaptation were being slowly absorbed into a new hybrid consciousness. It was not invasion. It was not conquest. It was transformation. David Chen, the most advanced of the human-enhanced variants, stood at the center of the integration chamber. His body had become a living quantum interface, part biological, part technological, entirely something new. Nano-augmentations woven through his cellular structure allowed him to process and translate consciousness at levels previously thought impossible. "First-stage integration beginning," Michael Jong announced. The process was unlike any form of communication in galactic history. Fragments of Krellzar collective consciousness began to merge with human quantum networks. Not through force, but through a complex dance of information exchange that respected the fundamental essence of both species. Elizabeth Rodriguez's enhanced perceptual capabilities allowed her to monitor the intricate quantum interactions. Where traditional species would see conflict, she observed a complex ecosystem of consciousness, each fragment finding its place in a new hybrid system. "They're not being conquered," Rebecca observed. "They're being invited to evolve." The quantum chamber pulsed with an energy that seemed to exist between states of matter and information. Memories, experiences, computational patterns, all began to intermingle. The rigid computational logic of the Krulzar met the emotional complexity of human experience. Samuel pulled up comprehensive integration matrices. We're seeing something unprecedented. It's not assimilation. It's collaborative evolution. Jack understood the profound implications. Humanity had not just survived. They had discovered a method of galactic interaction that transcended traditional concepts of war, diplomacy, and species interaction. The enhanced human variants moved with a grace that defied traditional biological limitations. David Chen's ability to interface directly with technological and biological systems made him a living bridge between consciousness states. The quantum perception specialist could see the intricate dance of probability waves as different consciousness fragments found new configurations. Total integration approaching 78%, Michael reported. Fragments of Krulzar collective memory began to integrate with human experience. Scientific discoveries, technological innovations, emotional landscapes that had been previously incomprehensible to the alien collective began to find new meaning. Rebecca watched the quantum matrices with a mixture of scientific precision and profound wonder. This was more than a technological achievement. This was a fundamental reimagining of what consciousness could be. The boundaries between species are dissolving, she murmured. The chamber continued to pulse with quantum energy. Each moment brought new configurations of consciousness, new ways of understanding existence that transcended individual species limitations. Jack approached the central integration matrix. We're not just changing them, he said. We're creating something entirely new. Samuel's displays showed complex quantum interactions that looked more like living ecosystems than traditional computational models. Memories, experiences, computational patterns, all finding new configurations, new meanings. Final integration protocols engaging, Michael announced. The last remnants of the Krulzar's rigid collective consciousness began to transform. Not through destruction, but through a complex process of collaborative evolution. Technological systems, biological networks, consciousness itself, all finding new configurations. Rebecca understood they were witnessing something beyond human or Krulzar comprehension. A new form of galactic interaction was being born. Integration complete, Samuel reported. The quantum chamber fell silent. But it was not the silence of ending. It was the silence of becoming. The universe watched and learned. Humanity had done more than survive. They had transformed everything.